And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Filk Quest on a Wednesday night. Getting chilly here in North Carolina. Tonight we have Bryan Baker with us,
Hi.
a Twitcher,
Yep.
and a Filker that I met
Yep.
a few years ago when Donna and I were doing a little bit of Filking. As a matter of fact, a good friend of ours we've had on the show, Matricula, was the one that turned me on to Mr. Bryan. So I thought I'd ask him to come on tonight and talk about his involvement with music and everything else. So welcome, Bryan. How you doing tonight?
Thanks. Thanks for having me on. This is great. And yeah, Matricula is great. She's really brought a lot of great people together, and it's been really cool to be part of that the whole social justice bards community.
Yes.
So
So from there, so let's see who we've got out there tonight. First of all, we have Claude Sailing. How you doing tonight, Claude? Always good to see you. Captain Baxley, how you doing tonight, Captain? Hope everything's going well with you.
good to meet
So,
you.
yeah, that'll be some of my regulars. We'll see how many people
All
show
right.
up, and I'm sure Donna, my wife, will be floating in here at some point. So we'll see what's going on. And Captain, yep, to you too, sir. Yeah.
No. Okay.
So that being said, usually what I do is I start at the beginning, back before the egg was cracked or the chicken came. So how did you
In
get involved with music? Hey, Rockets.
in the beginning.
In the beginning.
Uh, g- uh get involved in music. Uh, the actual story is I was about 6 years old, and I was playing with a friend, and we were on a swing set, and we made up this silly song that 6-year-olds would make up, and we got excited about it, and we went in and talked to his mother, who actually knew how to read music and write down music on staff paper, and just seeing that was possible just blew my mind at that point. And fast forward only a couple of years till I was in second grade, and I saw, of all things, I saw a 4-string banjo in a shop window, and I bugged my parents enough that luckily it was used, so it was actually pretty cheap, I guess. But I bugged my parents enough about it that they bought it for me for Christmas that year, and I started taking lessons on that. And of course, I ended up like going through the Mel Bay primer book, and the teacher then basically said, "Okay, now we've done that all with like downstrokes. Now let's do down and up strokes." And I was like, "What?" So I mean, he wanted to start the book over again with the same chord patterns or chord forms, and just changing the stroke patterns. And it's like, I think I can get that part on my own. So I just didn't go on with lessons there. And as kids are, I didn't really keep up on it for too terribly long. And then in junior high and high school, I started getting into the idea of doing keyboards, and then I ended up and of course school band. I played baritone slash euphonium, sometimes tuba. If it was marching season and they were short of tuba players, they'd shunt me into the tuba section because I could carry a sousaphone. And and I was I wanted to play keyboards, but I wasn't. I kind of had the same lesson problem with keyboards, and I ended up kind of deciding maybe I should play bass. And so I played bass in the jazz band. Actually, paid attention to those lessons, and really things started taking off from there. Because at some point my folks got me an acoustic guitar, and for years I was still primarily a bass player, but picking up guitar made me start writing, actually sitting down and trying to write songs. And when I graduated high school, I ended up going up to Minneapolis with the chorus teacher who was leaving, and another student and another former student, to form a band that was this wretched lounge act. Just playing all the 80s hits. And then that fell apart in about 3 or 4 months, and I ended up back at home for a while. Wrote a few more songs, got into a band called The Keys, which was popular around Iowa State, in Ames, and decided, okay, I'll go to Iowa State. So I was at Iowa State for initially as a music major. Since I was primarily a bass player, I couldn't do that, so I went in as a vocal music major, and went through that for about three or 4 years, and started taking classes in theater, because I thought, okay, if I'm going to be a vocal music major, some of the better opportunities are in musical theater and opera and things like that. So might as well learn how to act and get into stage. Well, it turns out I was better at a lot of the theater stuff than I was at especially piano. My hands just don't like to behave independently. I'm okay at comping chords and just like doing octave basses, but I'm not such a good independent actual keyboardist. And I got to that point, ended up changing majors to theater and making music a minor. Went to grad school on that. Actually studied with a couple of fairly big people in electronic music, Morton Subotnick and Barry Schrader, who I'm sure people probably don't know those names, but if you were into like serious electronic music in the late 80s, you would probably know both of them. Barry Schrader wrote one of the big books on electronic music, and Morton Subotnick had a big album called Silver Apples of the Moon. He was also in a lot of keyboard magazines at the time. So I almost ended up kind of going back full circle a little bit, but I ended up with a theater degree, and that's the long version of kind of the origin story of how I became a musician. I guess fast forward a little farther, I did a lot of work as in a company that did show control around the country. But I was still writing songs here and there, and I started seriously getting into recording again when I was in about 2004 when GarageBand came out.
Yeah.
It simplified. First of all, it was cheap. Second of all, it just simplified the workflow so much, compared to working with anything that I'd worked with before, which is mostly Performer. That's before Digital Performer. There was this thing just called Performer that was only MIDI. I did a lot of work with that at CalArts and then subsequently. But when GarageBand came out, it really helped propel my recording, and then that helped propel doing better songwriting. I got involved with a website called macjams.com, which was a nice community of people who would, post their stuff and then go comment on each other's stuff. And over the course of a couple of years, I put together enough material that I had a couple of albums worth, and I released both of them at the same time in 2007, which was a stupid idea, but it's what I did. So that's where the album started, and I stuck with GarageBand up through my next to my last album. The album Hero was the last one that was produced solely in GarageBand. I moved on to Logic Pro for the latest album.
Yeah, I'm using Logic Pro for some of my stuff, but I still have to understand how to do it. What I find very interesting is the fact that most kids look at that guitar and say, "Mom and Dad, I want that." It's surprising that it was a 4-string banjo, and I thought that was pretty cool from that point.
I don't know what possessed me, but something about that 4-string banjo, I went, I gotta have that. And I actually, and maybe it had something to do with my uncle actually as a hobbyist built a banjo or multiple banjos. I when he passed away, I actually got one. It's a 5-string. It's probably not in tune because I don't really play it much, but yeah, it's not in tune. Yep. And it's it is a homemade banjo, so the action is not particularly good. It's not a great player, but it's a nice piece to talk about.
Yeah. So he made that himself. Wow, that's impressive. Yeah.
He was an amateur luthier, among other things. He also liked tumbling rocks, which I found fascinating. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, that's it. Right. When I used to many years ago, when I used to scuba dive, and I was working for a scuba shop, we used to tumble the rocks inside the tanks to clear all that stuff out. So yeah, but he was actually doing it for the aesthetics.
Yeah, he was doing it to polish the rocks up.
Yeah,
and I always thought that was pretty cool. But yeah.
So you've had quite a long history of music. So I guess the next question is, were you a geek on the outside of this? And how did you get into? Okay, let me ask you this: what do you consider yourself as a musician within the realm? Because we know what we're going to be going to and some of the things that you do in fandom. But what do you consider yourself when people say, "Well, what do you do as a musician?" What do you consider yourself?
That's a tricky one, because I will say in fact I did this on an interview that I did for the local TV station recently. I said I identify as a Felker, But that doesn't. I do write stuff that is just plain regular kind of pop singer songwriter regular fare that really isn't Filk. But I also write stuff that I feel is Filk. Certainly just about everything on my album. Yeah, I'm a geek. Also, a lot of the stuff on Hero is pretty Filky, and a reasonable portion of Imaginary Thoroughfares is pretty Filky. So, and how I kind of got there, as far as writing from that standpoint, a lot of that had to do with Second Life. As I said, I was involved with this website called macjams.com. And about 2005. Yeah, it was 2005. It was October of 2005. So 16 years ago, on I think it was the 5th of October, I logged into Second Life for the first time. Which, if folks don't know what Second Life is, it's kind of like a game, but it's all user-generated content. And so Second Life is actually pretty aptly named. It is pretty much whatever you want to make of it. It is. It's a big sandbox. You can build, you can do all kinds of things. One of the things that some people figured out how to do was to give concerts. You could any plot of land that somebody owns in Second Life, you can set. One of the things that the owner of that plot of land has the rights to do is set a streaming audio URL for that parcel. So anybody walking into that, as long as they have the music or the music turned on in their client, can hear whatever is being streamed into that place. A lot of places just put on Radio Paradise or whatever and call it good. And but some people figured out that you could do a live stream to that audio stream and do concerts in Second Life. And I spread the word to these to a bunch of these people at macjams.com, and a bunch of them actually came in, and we had our own little community within the music community, and we were all kind of figuring out how to do this, and it was a lot of fun. And at the time, I started writing songs about Second Life. So I which made a lot of sense when I was doing shows in Second Life. It made a lot of sense to have some songs to sing about something that we were all doing together. And I know that that was probably I think that was probably about the first Filky stuff that I was really doing. And then one of the things that happened, I started also playing out at a lot of local open mics. And one day I happened to go to an open mic that Eric Coleman was also at. And
okay.
For those at home who don't happen to know them, but I'm sure you pretty much, if you're in the Filk community, you know Eric Coleman. Eric is Eric and Lizzie are the members of God, my brain is such Swiss cheese today.
Filcast is one of the things he does. Yeah.
Filkcast is I'm trying to think of their band. Cheshire Moon. Duh.
Oh, Cheshire Moon.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking it. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, they're going to be on in a few weeks. So.
Yeah, they are Cheshire Moon. And at the time, Eric hadn't even met Lizzie. In fact, he had just gone through a divorce. But we met at this open mic, and I know for sure the first time that we met, I had just played an acoustic version of Dead Man's Party by Oingo Boingo, and he just went, I need to talk to this person. And so we bonded over that right away. And then at some point, I can't remember whether it was that night or that open mic or a subsequent one, I probably played one of my Second Life songs. And at that point, he invited me to, at the time, he was the music head at Demicon.
Okay.
And he invited me to play at Demicon. That's how they get you. So I went, I had a great time. And he kept inviting me back, and I kept going, and at a certain point, he decided to bow out, and actually it was really slick the way he did this. I can't remember exactly. He basically did the whole year as music chair until right before the convention. Something came up that he and Lizzie couldn't be there, at least for part of the convention, and so basically I had to step in, or I didn't have to, but I stepped in as the acting music chair during the convention. And basically from then on, I've been the music chair.
It's funny how that works. I'll have to, when I have him, they're going to be on in a couple of weeks. I'll have to ask him if that was a snare. I'll get the story out of him for you.
But yeah, it's been a blast. Unfortunately, I can't think of too many people I can do the same thing to. So I've been kind of stuck for the last few years, but it's been a lot of fun. So I'm not really complaining. But so that's kind of how that worked. But and then I also I started the Second Life stuff, and doing the concerts at Demicon started making me think in more terms of like geeky. Another way I like to put it is just geeky music, as opposed to Filk or not Filk. I mean, some people feel like Filk is just the repurposing of other people's tunes. I like the all inclusive. It's the music that we get together and play at sci-fi conventions. That's my definition. And that can be found Filk, that can be purpose built Filk, or it can be just heck, it can just be whatever we feel like jamming on at 2 a.m. Mm-hmm. So it can just be straight up old Beatles tunes.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we've had discussions on here, is what do you consider Filk? And I think we've always come to that conclusion. Whatever you bring to the circle, whatever you bring to the performance, that's what you're playing. I mean, you take people like Dandelion Wine. They're constantly playing Stan Rogers and stuff like that. And Stan Rogers' music is part of any Filk that I've ever been in, and just
Yep.
singing the songs. And if you bring it there and you play it and you're enjoying it, it's great. And it's also great that it's accepting in the community, because if you have somebody that brings a guitar in, never did any filking, and they know a song by the Eagles, well, heck, play the
Yeah.
song by the Eagles.
Yeah,
It's great.
exactly.
So, so once again, you surprised me, because I thought you were going to say your first experience was Demicon, but to find out it was Second Life. And I remember Second Life quite well. In the very beginning, I was involved a little bit, but it got to the point when I started having to buy things. I said, "Yeah, I'm not really rich enough to start playing in there." And there was some thing, but I always enjoyed that type of interaction. If those who have never tried doing that, I used to like doing Sims and stuff like that with Star Trek. We'd all get together in a chat room and we'd write, little stories and stuff when we interacted, did logs during the week. But you did something like that in Second Life, in other areas like that, where you can make your little starships in there in some of the
Yep.
areas and the lands. And, it was just a place. I'd almost call it, Discord with graphics.
Yeah.
So going into that now, you have, and where I first met you was in the application called Twitch.
Yep.
And as we all know, and I was looking it up today, I didn't realize that Twitch started in, was it 2007? Something like that. I was looking at a bunch of things. I found out that AOL started in something like 1983. I don't know what we were doing that at work today when I should have been working. But Twitch started off as basically a gaming platform.
Well, yeah, I mean, initially it was like Justin.tv.
Was that what it was in the beginning? Okay.
At the very beginning, it was Justin.tv, and it was originally just this guy named Justin who wanted to live stream his life, I think. And then some people started, at some point, it became a gaming platform. And I think that at a certain point, they changed the name to Twitch because of the whole gaming thing. And a few years ago, I was listening to the late lamented podcast, geek. Was it just the Geek Music Podcast? I think it might have been.
Yeah, something like that.
It was a kind of like this. It was, other than it was not video. It was a wonderful get to know the artist kind of interview show, which I think has been sorely missing, and I'm glad that you're taking on that mantle. But after I got an interview there, I started listening, on a regular basis. I just subscribed to the podcast, and I heard the show that he did with Mary Amber.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Who is a wonderful, wonderful Australian artist.
I need to get her on here. I got to see if I can get her times. Yeah,
You definitely need to get Mary Amber on here because she is fabulous. Anyway, I heard her interview, and she talked a lot about Twitch during the interview, and I think I'd kind of looked at Twitch and kind of went but and for a long time I'd been wanting to do something that was a concert venue type thing, and there was a concert window and a couple other things, but almost all of them wanted you to just use like your built-in mic and your built-in camera, and weren't really flexible as far as input and really getting a good full sounding music setup. It's like, as long as you can put up with a kind of a tinny acoustic guitar, there you go. So I was never really satisfied with the ones that I saw out there. And then when Mary Amber started talking about Twitch, I decided to log on and start looking at some Twitch music streams, and I went, yeah, I should try this, because I was hearing good sounding streams where people were actually talking into nice quality mics, and they had their instruments coming directly into things, and it was mixed nicely, and I was like, they can do this. Okay, let's see if I can do this. And so I started streaming on Twitch. And that's why I actually refer to Mary Amber as my Twitch mom.
I remember you saying that a few times in there in that,
which
and
is doubly funny because she's a 20-something Australian, and I'm a late 50-something American. So.
Well, it's funny because it was Matricula who told me to check you out, and you told me to check Mary Amber out. I remember that quite well. So it's funny how things go along and along those lines. And I love do you still have? It's been a while. I have to admit that since I've been on Twitch, I've just been so busy with different things, with the fan films, with this and stuff like that. Do you still have the two computer setups where you have one over on this side, or your monitors were set up that way, where you were doing your keyboard on one side and then you were doing guitars on the other? At one point you kept on switching your cameras back and forth.
I do still have actually a multi-camera setup. I've got 3 cameras. I'm currently using my nice camera through OBS. My nice camera being my iPhone, and actually I can switch views. So let's see. There's my and I didn't actually put the curtain up, so it's showing more of my room than I usually do. And then there's a built-in camera that I've let. I because it's a kind of a crappy camera, it gets the effects treatment. So
nice.
But yeah, I still use multiple cameras, although mostly it's about going between this view for most of my guitar stuff and this view for when I'm doing keyboards.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's good. And what time are you basically? There you go. What time are you basically doing your shows now?
My music streams, at least the ones that are relatively set in stone, are Saturday afternoons from 2 p.m. Central, so that'd be 3 p.m. Eastern, until I get tired, which is usually about 6 or 7 p.m. Central, or more to the point when I get the stink eye from my family, and they want to get pizza going. So
yeah, and I've seen that. Look at that's the Twitch TV. If you haven't logged into Twitch out there, this is a halfway decent platform for watching a lot of this. They've come a long way from what I understand. They have a lot more music now.
Yes,
it has very much developed.
There's a serious music community going on Twitch, and it's been a great community. I mean, first of all, I met Matricula through there. I met you through there, and it is one of the things I really liked about Twitch as a performer is they at least had some methods of monetization kind of baked into it, but without having to charge tickets.
Right.
Because it's really hard to charge somebody to come into a live stream. I mean, you can try it, but it's really hard to get people interested enough that they're going to come to this unknown quantity. I mean, that's kind of what Concert Window was trying to do. And I think it worked very well for people who had a serious following already. But Twitch is, I think, a much better platform than a lot of these, including Facebook and YouTube, for people who don't already have a following and want to be discovered by an audience of some kind.
Now, how do you feel about it? The fact is, men and women of a certain age, if you know what I mean, there's a lot of kids on Twitch. How do they respond to you?
Every once in a while you get some trolls who come in and start making trouble and calling you grandpa or most of the time the grandpa stuff doesn't bother me. Sometimes I get Santa Claus because I've got a little weight and I've got a big white beard.
Don't we all?
And most of the time I don't mind the Santa Claus stuff too much. Every once in a while you get some trolls who are a little more aggressive about things, and that's always a little painful. But there's always the /ban command, and then you don't have to listen to them anymore.
Yeah, from that point.
Yep.
So I'm sorry, you were saying that.
And that's what. Go ahead.
No, that's what I was saying. You were saying about the connection that you were getting out there with people in playing. Where were you at that point? I think we were discussing your experience with Twitch at that point out there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I met you there. Met Mary Amber. Mary Amber kind of through Twitch. Mostly from her talking about Twitch, but let's see, and Matricula, I met through Twitch. One of the really cool things about the music community there has been each year the music community gets together and does an album for charity that is a song swap. And it's all of the ones that have been put out so far are currently available for free on Bandcamp. Search on Bandcamp for Streamer Song Swap. And there are now it's either 5 or 6 volumes. 5. I'm pretty sure it's 5. I missed the first one, but ever since then, what we do is people who are songwriters make available one or two of their songs. One or two of those songs for other streamers to cover, and we do that. We do kind of a fantasy football draft party or something where, your name gets drawn out of a hat, and okay, now it's your time to pick from the pool of remaining songs which one you want to do, and it is always a blast both to hear what other people do with my songs and to take someone else's song and figure out what you're going to do with it.
Now, is this a Filk group on there, or is
No,
it?
it is just the general music community.
Oh, okay.
So the songs are not necessarily a lot of the songs are just straight ahead pop or rock or folk or whatever. But let's see, Matricula has done some stuff. This last one, she and her the one that they put up was actually a Salacious Crumble song. And let's see, I've covered one of Matricula's songs, Complicity.
Okay.
Let's see, did she cover one of mine? No, she hasn't covered any of mine. I don't think. And let's see, I covered one of Mary Amber's at one point. And I've done it every year, and I've always been surprised and delighted at what people do to my songs, and I've always had a great time doing covers of other people's songs. So, and what we do that as is an incentive that is given out during a streamathon for a given charity. We've done fundraisers for Mr. Holland's Opus. I'm trying to remember that was the initial. I think the first two streamer song swaps were in support of the Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation, and which is about getting kids instruments in schools that don't have the resources. And that's been awesome. I'm trying to remember what we've done some other we've done some other charities lately that were more along the lines of mental health, and I'm not thinking of the names of them at the moment, but
it sounds like something that the social justice bards would get involved with too, from that, which I know I'm a part of. You're a part of. Matricula, of course, is part of from that point, and I think that's also a good group. Let me ask you a question. Click. Where did you get that nickname? I've been meaning to ask you that.
Okay. This goes back a while. I've actually had the handle Click in various forms for at least 20 years, if not closer to 25. And the origin is there is a webcomic called Sluggy Freelance, which has been around for over 20 years. And one of the early T-shirts that they sold. This is going to take a little explanation. That one of the characters is a homicidal mini lop rabbit named Bun Bun, and there's a T-shirt of him kind of leaping at someone while opening a switchblade, and the sound effect by the switchblade is click, and the caption is time to die, nerd boy. And the main character of this strip is a guy named Torg, who's a web developer, and they get into all kinds of sci-fi adventures that usually kind of somewhat parody some popular thing like Star Trek or whatever. But anyway, there was this shirt. It had the click on it, and when I started getting into online video games like Counter-Strike and some of that stuff, I thought, oh, that'd be a good gaming handle, click, like priming a shotgun or opening up a switchblade or something like that. It's kind of a okay. You hear that sound, you're gonna be nervous. Of course, I didn't count on some of the alternative pronunciations, but I started using it as a gaming handle for years. And when Second Life came around, my Second Life name is actually Click Martin.
Ah, okay.
So and Second Life wouldn't actually let me use a dash at all, or even an underscore. So it's all mushed together as KAKLICK, and a lot of people pronounce that in really unfortunate ways. But it's always been click. I mean, people still occasionally think it's a troll name, even though it's never been intended as a troll name. But I know another streamer that I absolutely adore, and I won't say that we're really great friends because I've got to admit we haven't been to each other's streams that much for a while because we're both busy streaming ourselves. Is let's see, Claire Pix, wonderful, lovely person. She's not really a filker at all, but she's just beautiful voice, and her whole thing is she raises, or she fosters cats, and she uses her stream to fund that enterprise.
I'm trying to think. I think I've run into her.
I wouldn't be surprised because she's amazing. She's really, really good streamer. Anyway, one of my first encounters with her, I got banned from her stream, and and it was the first ban that I'd ever had on Twitch, and I contacted her offline, on Discord, and just said, "Look, if I did something to offend you, I am really sorry. I really don't know what it was." And she said, "Oh, it's okay. It's she runs a completely family friendly PG, just PG stream." And either one of her mods, or possibly even an auto mod, thought my name was a troll name.
Oh, okay.
And it banned me. So she unbanned me, and we've been, I want to say we've been great friends ever since. But I mean, I have actually done a collab stream with her before, and I love her, and she seems to have warm feelings toward me. So I mean, we're okay. So the name has been interesting, but it's been my handle for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really. I mean, I suppose if I started really tearing it apart, I could come up with some interesting things. I always thought it was a cool name, could click. I mean, when you explain the switchblade, I go,
Yeah.
yeah, it makes sense.
And
Makes
most
sense.
people, if they get the pronunciation right away
Hmm.
and get that it's just onomatopoeia, it's like, oh, that's a cool name. I like that. But a lot of times people will struggle with it. Um, I think mostly when people put the emphasis on the ka and stuff like that, it gets a little tricky. But
Then I would think it was Klingon.
well, yeah. Well, I thought of a
Click.
it's not quite a backronym, but it's kind of related. I thought of a BS origin story for the name, and that's okay in Stephen King's Dark Tower series. Ka is like the universal force, kind of.
Okay.
Okay. And a group that is kind of bound together as an ersatz family is often thought of as a ka-tet. There's this whole thing about ka, and if you think about it, the word click with a K is actually military jargon for a kilometer.
Right.
So it's like click is your first is your first kilometer on your journey of ka, or something silly like that. But
or William Shatner going car click.
yeah, exactly.
But I like the first journey of Ka. That sounds good. So that's good. Very good. Yeah. I was going to ask you to do a song or two, but I know that you've got the
The
cop,
ka.
so you're welcome back anytime, without a doubt. Because I'd like to, see how things are going. Where are you going to be next? Have you done any cons this year besides Demicon, or do you do any other cons besides Demicon?
I I would love to do other cons besides Demicon, but I haven't really been asked too many. I and the last year and a half has been
Oh yeah,
insane. I I have I have been to a couple of OVFS, but I haven't been like a guest at OVFF or anything like that. And but that
I wonder if we ever passed at OVFF years ago.
it's possible. I think the last one that I was at, it was about 2013, 2012 or 2013, somewhere in there.
Mine was a little bit earlier than that, but you
Okay.
never know.
Yeah, and Eric and Lizzie dragged me to my first VFF. Didn't take too much dragging, but that was a lot of fun. So yeah, I'd like to do more cons. The last few years have been a little tight to be doing a lot of traveling. But I would love to do more. And I guess I did. Oh, which one did I do? I did one that Gundo runs. But it was a virtual one. So, I've shown up in a few virtual Filk circles over the last year and a half or two.
Yeah, what do you think about those? Is that the wave of the future?
Nothing's going to replace getting together in a room with a bunch of people, but it's a good stopgap. It's definitely, and I love the fact that you can have a Filk circle that circles the globe.
See people that you don't normally get to see,
Yeah,
and I think that was one. I met Lawrence Dean in
yeah,
one that we held. It was great. It was fantastic. And on Twitch, meeting Mary Amber, which is basically the same thing. You have been doing the digital
yeah,
before, except that at that point in time, it was you performing, not everybody swapping songs like a circle.
yeah,
Um, and a few years ago, we couldn't have done this
yeah,
with the technology at that time. You
yeah.
know,
It would have been undoable, but it's really good that that technology had come that far at that time, so that people could at least get together and do that. Um, yeah, it's been an insane couple of years.
yeah, definitely has been. But what I want, anybody out there that hasn't experienced the Twitch, or actually, you've got a Discord channel, and there is a Filking
Yep,
Discord channel also called
yep,
Filk Haven. Discord is another area that I've actually done. I have a Discord channel, but we had a virtual Klingon sort of convention that Donna and I did a set for. So Discord's another place that's coming along with more music and things like that. So a lot of electronic stuff going on that will take us through. But I agree with you wholeheartedly
yeah.
about getting together with people around you and that physical being able to talk and have a good time and everything else.
Well, and being able to actually jam together. I mean, a Filk circle on Zoom is great, except that you can't have three-part harmony going on,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody playing lead guitar and somebody playing bass, and just so people joining in and doing some of the cross pollination stuff that's one of the magic things about a Filk circle. So
Yeah. Well, we're at the top of the hour, and
it's been fun.
it has been really, really,
Yeah,
really fun. And at some point, I'd like you to come back, talk some more about things, maybe get a couple of songs out of there. I know that there's one particular song that I like that you do because I was there when it was being written, and I threw a couple suggestions into it. So,
sure. Yeah, yeah. That was that and that was a weird day too. That was one of the days that. Oh, yeah. Was that the day that I discovered that my laptop had gotten fried? I think
yeah,
it was.
it could very well have been.
Because yeah, my old 17-inch MacBook Pro was below a malfunctioning dishwasher, and it didn't like that. And luckily insurance helped to replace things, but that day I kind of just moved my camera and some stuff up to a machine that's in our dining room,
Yeah,
and
what's up in there?
did the
Yeah,
show from the dining room.
yeah, I remember that. Remember that.
Yeah.
In answer to Rocket Song's question, as far as I
No.
know, uh, 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 Lem is definitely going to continue the Festival of Living Rooms. It may not be as much because there's a lot of stuff going on, but
Sure.
I know that he has. Have you been on Festival of Living Rooms?
I haven't. I'd
Yeah.
love to. but
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Blind Lemon Chiffon, if you've
Yeah,
heard of Blind. Yeah.
yeah.
So
I think I had breakfast with him at OVFF one day.
could be.
One of the days that we were there. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yep, he is. Good guy. He's been like to Filk and things like that. So anyhow, so that being said, I want to thank you one more time, Bryan, for coming on there. For anybody, he's got his click.com is his
Yep.
webpage, and you can see his albums and stuff like that. It's got a lot of neat stuff. I had it open in case I needed to get more information, but it's been fantastic. It just flowed perfectly, and I really love it when you do that. You get to that point where you go, am I going to have enough to talk about? And then things just continue flowing through. So
Well, my wife has accused me of being a conversation waiting to happen. So,
and that's good. As you notice, I didn't interrupt that much. I just let him go. Okay, well, Bryan, thank you once again. Everybody out there, you all have a wonderful week. Thank you very much for showing up. Next week, we have Brenda and Bill Sutton coming on. So we'll have them next week. And then I'm gonna see if I have to reach out to Mary Amber, because I definitely do you know what her time zone compared to us is? Do you ever talk to her about what time it is?
Damn nearly directly opposite. Yeah, I mean it's Australia, so it's just about mirrored of not quite. It's not quite mirrored, but it's not quite as bad as Singapore or Thailand. But
well, then that might not be too bad, because if it's around 10 o'clock in the morning there and 9 o'clock at night here, or someplace in that order, it might be doable. It's not like I've got friends who come on and do like our Critical Not Cynical for Star Trek fan films on Friday nights, and one of them, Zam, is over in London, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning when he comes on 11 at night. So
yeah, I know that she does a fair number of her streams at kind of starting around this time. So I think there's a pretty good chance that you can get there.
Yeah, let's see if I can jump on Twitch to see if she's on. At least send her a note. Do you know if she's on Facebook or anything?
She is, but my experience, she does not do Facebook very much. She is on Twitter, and she's much more on Twitter than she is on Facebook.
I know, Rocket Song, and you're one of the next ones I will be getting to now that you're coming back to regular time. So it would be good. When I'll go on Twitch or whatever, or I can drop her a note in there because she's on my friends list.
Okay, and
we have talked before, so it's been well. She also has a Discord channel too that I think I'm on.
She definitely has a Discord.
And I'm on her Discord channel too.
Okay,
maybe that'd be the best place to catch her.
I was thinking about suggesting that because she has she has a nicely active Discord. So.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, I'm actually going. I'm not sure what the state of the project is, but I actually did a part for her in her. She wrote an opera. What is it? She's calling it ocarina or something. What is the name of that thing? She did a basically a little operetta about a golden ocarina, and I actually play a part that she originally wrote as the Mushroom Woman, but she decided to recast it as the Mushroom Man, basically an old hermit that moves the plot along.
And you're the old man.
Yep, I'm the old dude. Let's see. Operina. Oh, it's Operina Squadrina is the channel. What is the name of this stupid thing? Ocarina. There we go. Because or Ocarina. She pronounces it Ocarina. So I don't know if that's the weird little potato shaped.
I know what you're talking. Is that sort of like
it's like a little whistle flute kind of thing that's like 3 or 4 holes and it's kind of wedge shaped.
I've got something similar to that, but I don't think it's an ocarina, and I can't really get a lot of sound out of it. Of course, guitar is mine. That's all I basically, and I just do my 12 string, and I play a 12 string just so I don't have to play lead. Though watching Eagles and Hotel California and stuff like that, it really doesn't matter. So.
Yeah. So. I play a guitar that can masquerade as lots of different things, including a 12 string, so I don't have to play a 12 string.
And I was going to ask you about that if you had pulled that out. I know I was going to ask you about that because I've always loved that guitar. Because it's a nice guitar. So much, you can do so much things on. Yeah. And no, Donna, I'm not going to buy another guitar. My Ovations are fine.
The great thing about this guitar is it makes it has squelched my gas. I no longer have at least an aching gear acquisition syndrome. I can go into a guitar store and kind of go, yeah, those are nice. But I can get those same sound. I'd rather have one guitar that I can stand on stage or sit in on my stream and just twiddle a couple of knobs and sound like something different or be in a different tuning. So,
Donna used to have an ocarina because the kids played. Oh, okay.
You learned on a 12 string? Yeah, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
One friend of mine that I tried to teach guitar to actually bought he had a 12 string. I think at some point I just had him like restring it as just a 6 string so that he could get it rather than fight with the 12.
Well, one of the things I like about a 12, I mean, after learning how to play the 6, is the padding on your fingers are a little bit better off because you're crossing 2 strings instead of that 1. So your calluses, they may not be, because I'll still play a 6 string and I'll be like this, But and then of course there's always the tuning, and we all know that joke. I spend half my time tuning and the other half playing out of tune. So
Yep.
So anyways.
All right.
Okay, well, folks, it's been fun.
Yes.
Thank you all for coming. I want you all to have a wonderful rest of the week. Live long and prosper, peace, long life. And everybody, we'll see you next week with Bill and Brenda Sutton. There is no, I'm going to be in Kentucky on Friday. So we've decided not to do a critical, not cynical. It's my first break on that in a while, because I'm going to be going down to see Potemkin Pictures, Randy Landers, and they're going to be filming on his Star Trek sets there. And since I'm building ours in my mother-in-law's garage, and he's got his sets in his basement and stuff, I'm going to be taking copious notes to see exactly how he did that. So as I put things together, we'll will be. Yeah, that's the other thing, Brian. If you have a chance, check out our channel. We do a lot of Star Trek fan films,
Cool.
and a lot of us are involved with that. I do a program called Crossroads, and Dreadnought Dominion was a creation that I had a few years ago. But anyways, that being said, everybody have a wonderful night. Thank you for showing up, and we'll see you next week. And have a great weekend, everybody. Take care.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Most certainly. And thank you.